Welcome to the Florida Shots training webinar covering adding and updating patient records for private providers. In this webinar, I will review how to properly manage your patient records within Florida Shots and also how to complete the most common function in the registry, adding vaccines. So we'll talk about the menu items under patient data right here, including searching and adding patients, checking the immunization status page. This page can help simplify and tailor the immunization schedule to your particular patient and will help determine the correct minimum and recommended due dates for each vaccine. We'll talk about adding vaccines, both current and historical. We'll also go over viewing and adding contraindications and adverse events. We will go over documenting contact attempts. So as you know, tracking and following up on children receiving immunization services at your office is critical to increase and maintain immunization coverage levels. So follow-up activities can ensure that families stay on the recommended schedule and encourage complete immunization series to ensure full protection against vaccine-preventable diseases. We will also go over managing your patient statuses. So patients who receive immunization services at your office will be listed as active, and your office will be the CIP, or the current immunization provider, on their record. And these patients will be included in your reminder recall and immunization coverage reports. So we'll talk about circumstances when you may need to inactivate patients and how you'll document those who have moved or gone elsewhere. So let's get started. I'm logged into Florida Shots and we'll begin managing your patient record in Florida Shots, and I'll search for my patient. So let's see here. And you'll need to enter in everything that's blue here and click search. So in this case, no matching records are found. So I'm going to double check the spelling, the birth date, and it is a new patient. So we know this patient has just moved into Florida. So we're going to add this new patient. So if you have no matching records found and you want to add a new patient, simply click on Add New Patient. And you'll just need to fill in everything that is blue, that is required, but you're more than welcome to fill in more detail as you have it. So I'm going to select the next required field here, and that is race. So I'm going to put white here, and that's next. And that will bring us to the next item that is required, and that is the physical address. So let's see. And county. There we go. And phone number is always recommended. And you can put in email address, language, all of that. But again, anything in blue is required. So the current immunization provider is my organization, and I'm going to select the service site. So if you have more than one site in your organization, you would select the site that the patient is attending and click next. The mother or father or guardian information is not required, but it is highly recommended because this will help us to match the patient if there are potential duplicate records, and it will make things easier when you're creating forms. It will automatically fill in the parent or guardian name on certain forms. So we will fill that in. You can put in mother, father, guardian, all of the above if you have, and as much information as you have. So next. And it will then bring you to the vaccination list if you have some historical vaccinations to record. I'm going to go ahead and click submit. And that's it. We've added our new patient. So that patient now has a record in Florida Shots. You can see her name is here, date of birth. The CIP, like we talked about, is my organization. The state immunization ID is created. I did not enter a social security number for her, but if that was there, you would see the last 4 digits. And the site, you'll see the status. So it's saying that she's overdue because we have not entered in any vaccines. So that is adding a new patient. I'm now going to release this patient record, and I'm going to search for my patient that's in my office now. So we can go over adding vaccines, viewing the immunization status, and all of the other items that we'll cover in the webinar. So I'm going to search for my patient again. And search. And I see some search results have come up here, and you'll see that this is a potential duplicate. So make sure if you run across more than one record that has the same name, has the same birth date, looks to be possibly the same person. We do run across duplicate records once in a while, and if we do have more than one record for a patient in the registry, we want to get that merged. So go ahead and hover over, check on the addresses, go into each record, check the parent or guardian, the address information, the vaccinations, determine if this is in fact a duplicate. And if it is, simply call the Florida Shots help desk and they will be able to help you merge the two. If this is not the same person, because we know there are common names that people may be born on the same date, if it's not, just go ahead and click on the record that is your patient and load the record. You may have a pop-up like this patient does saying that they're overdue for one or more vaccines. Simply click OK. And this will bring us again to the patient identification. If you need to make any changes, update anything, you can do that. Of course, the address can be updated, parent or guardian can be updated, but we're going to first talk about immunization status page. This is the page that can really help you when you are in a patient record and you're trying to determine what they may need based on what has been entered for them, how old they are. You'll be able to see all of the vaccines that are recommended, the full list here, and then the tailored status to that patient based on what they've received. You'll see the current schedule that that patient is on, if there is a dose that is due, which dose, and then the minimum due date and the recommended due date. So this is very helpful to see what can this patient receive today. And we can see in bright red this patient is overdue for MMR. And as I hover over it, it tells me the possible vaccine. So this patient could either get MMR or the combination MMR-V, and there are the minimum and recommended dates. You'll also see some vaccines that will say not started. So it doesn't say that they're overdue, but they're not complete for those. So for example, HPV, not started. But this patient could receive that as early as his 9th birthday. You'll see here, 9/12/17 was the earliest date that he could receive this HPV for a valid dose. But the recommended due date, of course, is 11/12. But this patient could receive that today. Same with, you'll see the meningitis, you'll see the meningitis B. This can just really help you to determine what the patient may need. So, of course, we're going to add the patient's historical vaccines that he has received if they were not in our office, and also we will add the vaccine that we're giving today, the MMR vaccine. So I'm going to go ahead and click on vaccinations. And this is the vaccine list. So this page, you will be able to see the vaccines that have been recorded for this patient, and you'll also be able to manually enter, like I said, vaccines that were given historically, or those that are current. So let's say that this patient received a flu vaccine at a clinic, and it's not entered into Florida Shot, but we want to add that as part of his record. So we're going to add that as a historical vaccination record, and you'll come down here you'll see add vaccination record. That will be for current vaccines. And you'll see add historical vaccination record. We're going to click there. You'll get a pop-up that says caution that VFC eligibility will not be saved. And go ahead and click OK. And you're ready to enter historical shots. So you'll see there's two types of adding historical. You can choose to add by vaccine type, and then the dates given here, or you can choose to add the date here and the vaccines given on that particular date. So you can enter an entire vaccine record this way, or one or more, whichever way is more convenient for you. So you'll see as I drop down here, we will find the vaccine. There are all sorts of different vaccine types. And if you're not sure which vaccine type to pick based on your particular brand, we have a cheat sheet right here, vaccine type information. And if you click on that, you'll be able to be brought directly to our vaccine type table. So you can find, for example, your flu, if you have 3Y preservative free. In Florida Shots, we call it that. And you'll be able to see, based on brand name, which vaccine to choose. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. And we are going to enter our flu that he received. And that is right here, preservative free, and he received that on 9/1/17. And this box here is to be checked if your organization gave that vaccine. In this case, we did not give the vaccine, so I will leave that blank. And then click on Next. And this Submit button lights up yellow. That means you have changes to be saved. And click Submit. And you'll see the vaccine is listed here. And we did not administer it, so our organization will not be listed as the provider, but we are the source. We entered that into the registry. So that is adding historical. And we're also going to say that we gave the MMR today. So we're going to click on Add Vaccination Record. And this will bring up the Add Vaccination Record page. There's a little more detail here, and it's going to collect VFC eligibility. It's going to collect possibly injection site and route and service site. And this will be compliant with the VFC policy. So if you are providing a VFC vaccine, you will need to enter your vaccines this way. So vaccine type, again, you'll have the list of vaccine types. You have that vaccine type table that you can use for a little cheat sheet there. And I'm going to scroll down until I find MMR because that's what we gave. And you can choose MMR here. And that will open up a few more required fields. Again, anything in blue is required. The date given, we gave it today. So anytime you're in Florida Shots, a cheat or a little shortcut, you can enter T and that will fill in today's date. The injection site and route can be entered. The provider organization ID will go ahead and fill in my location and the location that the patient is tied to. We talked about the current immunization provider. If you need to make a change, you can do that. And then the funding program. So is this VFC vaccine or is this our private stock? So if this is your private stock, you will leave it as select. If it is VFC, you will select VFC. And this, of course, if you are a provider who does not participate in VFC, you would not see this option. But if you do have vaccines for children, vaccines in your office, you would need to select how is this patient eligible for VFC. So if they are uninsured, if they have Medicaid, you will need to indicate that. And that will then make the manufacturer and lot number required. So this is a VFC shot, and we're going to say that the vaccine information statement, this is the next required field, was given to the mother, Miss Pamela. So you'll select the mother, father, guardian, person who you gave that VIS, vaccine information sheet to, and we'll need the date that's on that vaccine information sheet. And if you don't have it in front of you, you can simply click on here again, a nice little cheat sheet here. So it'll bring you to the CDC website, and you'll need to find the date in red for your vaccine. We did MMR, not the MMRV. So ours is 4/20/12. So we're going to enter that date here, 04/20/12. And yes, consent was given, and we're going to move down here to the next required piece of information, and that is the manufacturer and lot number. So manufacturer listed there, lot number from the vaccine there, expiration date. Okay, and that's it. So we've entered our vaccine. If you have another vaccine to add, you can just leave this checked. We don't, so I'm going to go ahead and click Next. Whoops. And that's snuck up on me. Of course, you will need to add the provider person ID. So who actually gave the shot in your office? And then click Next and Submit, and that will save it. And you'll be able to see, if I scroll down, the MMR listed here, provider person, source here. And now this patient is up to date because we've added that vaccine that they were overdue for. So good news there. So that's adding vaccinations.